Well, hello, all of you beautiful people. Welcome back to The Unseen. We are going to talk about stillness today, the art of being still. And I have my special guest.
Hello.
My wife, Gina, if you don't know her. And my name's Zach. I don't usually introduce myself, but all right. Okay, so before we get into it, I just want you guys to know that I was going to do something really dorky. As you can see, I have my blanket. I was going to be extra dorky, and my wife said, if you do that, I am not sitting with you.
Felt very junior high-ish, but
Whatever. Okay.
I feel like there's other ways to keep warm.
Well, now I'm just in a cozy mood, so I don't know. Okay, so just to recap, this doesn't really connect with the last video specifically, but the last couple videos I've talked about gatekeeping, and I shared some testimony of what we've seen with gatekeeping, even in the sense of what we do in encounter nights, which we are the leaders of. And so we've seen some really cool stuff, like people being very aware of the spirit realm, which is what all of these videos are ultimately about. And yeah, so then the practical sense of how to walk that out in your life, how to activate gatekeeping for yourself, because it's a practical thing that you can take charge of, like in your home, yourself, your own heart, and other things like that you have authority over. So that's what we have talked about in the last couple of videos. And now we are talking about the art of being still. So just a quick Bible verse. And my wife, Gina will just jump in with other whatever things.
Maybe I'll just keep you company.
Or you'll just be here with me. So Psalm 46:10, I'm not quoting the whole thing, but this is where really this comes from. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still." So this is actually the Lord talking. He says, "Be still and know that I am God." So that verse right there, and there's more to it, but that's the gist of it, is like the foundation of the art of being aware. And so if our goal is to be more aware of the spirit realm around us, the whole point of being still is it's not just you lay down and went to sleep, because you could say that's, you're being still, you stopped moving. But being still is a practice that is a discipline where you are learning how to quiet yourself. And I'll talk a little more about that, but it's about quieting yourself, being intentional, being still. You want to say anything?
Well, just that a lot of people have a hard time with that because that requires you to actually look at yourself, because there's not all the distraction and noise around you.
Yep.
So what's usually covering us up in stillness, you feel uncovered. But what's then amazing is the Lord can come and cover you.
Yeah. That is part of what I wanted to get into.
You just beat to it.
You beat me to it. So no one does stillness accidentally. Not really. Especially nowadays I don't remember what it was like before we had all the technologies. But we all have phones. Maybe you have a bunch of kids in the house, or just any scenario. But we're surrounded in life by busyness, and now probably more than ever before, we're just surrounded by busyness. And so stillness is not something that happens accidentally. And stillness also does not equal, well, let me say it this way. Inactivity doesn't equal stillness. Because you could be just having a lazy day where you're sitting around doing nothing, but that doesn't equal stillness either, because there's an intentionality with it. So what Gina beat me to is what I wanted to talk about is stillness as a part of worship. And it can kind of connect with prayer and that. So kind of an analogy that I had, Revelation 22, and you'll find it. There's a spot in Isaiah 55. there's probably more spots than this, but Isaiah 55, Revelation 22, right near the end of the book, and John 4:14, Jesus talks about like drink of him, the living water, and all that. So all of those deal with the living water and drinking of him. And so the analogy I got is like to really be refreshed and to drink the living water, to drink of him. Like you don't drink water while you're moving around. Like if you think about it, like unless you have like a straw, but that's not what we're talking about. Just think practically.
We're gonna be choking.
Yeah. Like if you have a cup of water, and I've tried this and it hasn't worked because when I realized I didn't stop moving. If you try to drink and you tip the cup and you're drinking, but you're moving around, you're not going to get very far without spilling stuff all over the place. So silly analogy, but it gets the point. Where like to really drink and to take time with him in this way, you have to stop moving. Okay. I don't want to just like keep talking and you not get to jump in. So then when it comes to like worship and prayer, like the whole thing of stillness is, as we know, when you're praying, like we can get in the habit of just talking a lot. And I'm sure many of us have heard this before, like we need to like take time to listen, right? Mm. And so then there's the act of not just speaking, but also listening. But stillness, I feel like, takes it a step further, where there is a piece of it that is listening. But like Psalm 46 says with the be still and know that I am God, it's not just listening to him talk, but because it's a relationship, like with me and Gina, we're husband and wife, and there's the speaking and the listening, like we each have our times of talking and times of listening. But then there's the time where you're just quiet together, right? So like relationship and intimacy and like that whole thing, stillness isn't even just listening. Stillness is like we're just together and neither of us have to say anything. And I honestly believe the Father just loves that, like that time where it's not about getting anything or getting an answer for something or anything like that. It's just being together.
Yeah, I always felt like there was like a, I don't know, like a timer, like whenever you started praying. So it was like you have to get it all out and then you're done. But I think there's also this aspect of like, there's like fear that if we're quiet, like what if he doesn't show up, or what if he doesn't talk to us, or what if you can't hear him? And so I think that often gets us like trapped in this like cycle of we have to like do and stay busy and, you know, do all of that when really he just wants to just be with us. And that does look like not saying things sometimes.
And I would actually say this isn't like a biblically provable thing, but my opinion is that stillness and like that practice of being still with the Lord is one of the most spiritual things you can do. Not the only thing, but I'd say it's one of the most, because to me stillness, it's like it's a practice of surrender, because stillness, you're not doing anything and you can't do anything. If you're practicing stillness, you can't do anything. Your mind isn't going in all the directions and figuring out all the things. But intentional stillness with him is like surrendering to like, he's faithful, he is good, and he is well able. And like, you don't have to do all the stuff. That doesn't mean there's not stuff to do, so like, don't go down that track. But like the act of stillness and that practice is a surrender to him, because it means you can't do it all and you can't figure it out, but you will take the time, even in the midst of chaos or busyness, but take the time to give him priority, and in a way that's not just about getting something from him. Yeah. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to say on that. Do you have anything else? I was just going to give a little homework.
Give that homework.
Give that homework. So just as like, just to begin to practice it, like, so if you want to connect with this is what I want to encourage you to do. You can do it at any time, like pick the time of day, or whatever. But like maybe it's just if you have a normal devotional kind of time, like maybe you wake up early in the morning and you read your Bible and pray and all that. But take time and actually stretch yourself. So like maybe you read your word and maybe you worship a little bit, and then like you sit there for a minute and just relax. Like, okay, keep doing that, but then like take an extra step of like maybe you're used to being quiet for like a minute. Like take that extra step and just tell the Lord what you're going to do, and like even set a timer and do like try to hit 5 minutes of just stillness with him, where you're not trying to get anything, you're not trying to pray into anything, and it's not like not some kind of thing of like I'll do this so then I can pray for stuff and he'll listen to me, because that's ridiculous. But like try to stretch yourself, find a point of time in the day, even if you tack it on to some of the other things you normally do, and practice stillness. And I believe the more you practice this and make this a priority in your time with him, that you will actually begin to be more aware of his presence. You'll be more aware of his voice when he does speak, and you'll just be aware, because again, that's the whole point of this, is awareness and your connection to the Spirit, and it helps you grow. So practice stillness.
Yeah, and I would actually encourage you to practice it before you read and before you pray, because, I mean, you might notice a shift. I've noticed a difference when I do that, because I'm just prioritizing, like, I'm going to spend time with you, like, and just be still and, like, actually allow my body and my mind to, like, relax, instead of just like immediately like you're going on to like I have to read or I have to, you know, like when you do that first, it kind of like realigns you and recenters you so that you're not in like your head and you're not in your day, and yeah, you can just focus on him, and then it positions you to do all of the other things if you want to do that.
Give him that homework. All right, well, thank you. I just want to encourage you guys. Thank you for joining us on this special edition with a much more beautiful person on the screen. But if you have any questions or thoughts you want to add, please add it in the comments. And I'm actually, like I've said before, anytime there's a question or someone leaves a comment, I am keeping track. And so as we're going and things kind of connect, I can connect to the things you guys are wondering and talk about that. So yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll be on next week. Well, I don't know if it'll be a special guest, but I'll be back next week with the Unseen.